of Honolulu.
Thanks, Lou. Aloha, fellow treasure seekers. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Honolulu. We are members of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And if you're like most of us, you've got lots of choices on what to do with your Sunday or your time online or whatever. And so we get a lot of competition even when we have windy, rainy days like today. There's lots of other things people could be doing. So we really appreciate that everyone decided to come or watch and be part of this wonderful experience. I don't know if you've missed the last couple of services and came not wanting to ruin the surprise and decided not to watch the Vimeo videos that we have everywhere all over the website. But Dr. Jonipher did come back to us after his long trip to collect treasures. I think I had said maybe it was in Crimea. I think I was mistaken. Several of you pointed out that he probably wasn't there. And I kind of believe you. What's that?
His name's Russell.
Thanks. Now, if you doubted my word, you now have it. Now, so you're here in our intergenerational service today. So that means that there's no RE upstairs. The kids are going to be here as part of the service, working with all of us, and this is a great thing. Just in case you're particularly inspired from this service, remember that it's fundraising time, and if you've not had your name posted up on that back wall or not made your donation yet, there's still time to do it and to think about RE when you make your donation. Think about the future and the kids that we have in the program, and the ones that aren't here in the program, like the youth. So, as I said, today's our theme, and our theme is treasure hunt. We have a number of treasures here, and you'll want to pay very close attention to every little bit. Okay, there will be a test later on, but not done by me. You'll have to think about the test, but it'll be later on. Go ahead, take this opportunity to, if you want to check in to Foursquare or Yelp or Facebook or whatever, send a tweet. Go ahead, do it now. Feel happy and welcome to do it. And then put your phone on worship mode, which may be silent or vibrate or psychic, whatever it happens to be. And we'll all be square. Also remember that Camp Mokulea is coming up, right, kids? Woo! If you are camp curious or experienced, you can sign up for it's Mother's Day weekend. It's the 9th through the 11th. It's a great time every year, and you get to roast marshmallows and all sorts of other fun things. It's just a great time, and even if you just want to come for Saturday, please talk to Margaret, man, and let her know that you're interested, and she'll make sure that all the right things are done. You can even register online at the website if you want to come. As I said, there's no RE program today, but we are going to be having sort of an Easter goodie hunt for canned foods later on. If you do see some things hanging out, don't think that they're misplaced. They're there intentionally. And if you are lucky enough to be part of this hunt, try to keep the cans down to a minimum, guys. Don't hog them all yourselves. 1 or 2 each. Owen, where are you, buddy? You want to help me light the chalice? Okay. As Owen lights the chalice, if you would please read the following. That was quick.
We light this chalice with the torch of justice. We light this chalice with the radiance of joy.
So in our search for treasure, there are many different types of things that we can consider to be precious or treasures. The Sikhs have something, and I'm gonna like totally slaughter the pronunciation, because the only thing worse than trying to read a different language in English is trying to read like transliteration, so I apologize ahead of time. But the Sikhs have something called the Nau Nid, which literally means 9 treasures. And there are actually many different sets of 9 treasures, which is very confusing. I think there's 9 different types of 9 treasures. But it's very interesting to hear about these. Well before anybody read The Secret, or not ashamed to say they've read The Secret, or know someone who's read The Secret, or know what I'm talking about. So Rhonda Byrne, who wrote this book, basically What it was is ask the universe for what you want, focus on it completely, and it will come to you. So, but before she said that, before she wrote that book, back in the 1690s, the Sikhs were basically doing the same thing. And what they were saying, is that a little better? Can you hear me in the back now? Sorry about that. And so what they were saying is you should basically repeat your 9 precious treasures 45 times a day. I think I misspoke the first time. It was 45. That's a lot of times. So I'm going to go ahead and read 2 of the different types of 9 worldly treasures to you. I'll let you choose which ones you think are best. The worldly treasures, Padam Nidhi, attainment of children and or grandchildren, like these guys. Mahan Padam, one gets diamond, rubies, and other precious stones, gems, jewels, etc. Sank, delicious food to eat. Who likes that? Okay, that's what I thought. Makar, training in the use of arms to rule others. Yes. Kachap, clothes, food, grains, corns, and the like. Kund, anybody know what that is? Gold, wealth. Neel, trading in precious gems or jewels. Mukand, the mastery of the fine arts, music and poetry. Or Karb, riches of all kinds. And then there's the 9 spiritual treasures. Barosa, faith, a deep faith in God and a dependence on the world. Linta, an absolute attachment to the world. Santok, contentment. Detachment from family, friends, and worldly possessions. Hukam, acceptance and total surrender to the will of God. Sehaj, equilibrium of the mind. Anand, perceptual delight and permanent joy. Bismad, ecstasy, joy plus wonderment and the forgetting of the self. And Nadar, an awakened soul considers God as the prime reason for his attainments and that her own efforts are meaningless. The attitude keeps ego far away from the person. Which ones sound better?
My hidden treasure is something that isn't very hidden. What I write next? Okay. It is in plain sight, for all can see it. It is my family. We all have families. I'm supposing you have one and you have one. And I'm supposing you all love them. That's my next thing. But you may not choose your own family. Like kids, we can't choose our parents, we just have them. But sometimes you can choose your family, like a husband or a wife. I love my families for lots of reasons. One of them is because they make hot and clammy clam chowder. It is quite good. I had it last night. They're fantastic cooks. And of course, they are sometimes a little annoying. But I try to steer clear of their annoying parts. Yeah. My family is also kind. They let bygones be bygones. They hold on to the happy moments in life. And it feels like they capture all that happiness into a tiny little bottle when they are sad. And then they will let it out to make us happy. And I know that they love me all the time. When I'm in distress or have hard times, my mom, Karen, will cheer me up with encouraging words. Or sometimes buying me a treat. William, on the other hand, isn't very helpful. He's my little brother. I have more family too. They're in Oregon. In Oregon, I have my dad, my stepmom, and lots of sisters. Even though that they are far away, they are still really reassuring to me. I love them and I never stop thinking about them. And don't forget our pets. My family, we like to own a lot of pets, but not this year. We're small. We have 2 dogs and 2 fish. That are reassuring. Not the fish so much. Okay. But the dogs will snuggle up right next to me when I'm sad or unhappy. But I still miss my hamster who died 2 years ago in Oregon. But my outside family is the ones I can choose. My outside family are also known as my friends. I have a great friend in Oregon who thinks about me all the time, and I think about her. And I have a friend right now, but we aren't getting along at the moment. But the church family is the one that is here today. When any small family that makes up our big church family needs help, they can always find help. I recently read something about Boston Terriers, like my dog Charlie. It said, there are no strangers for a Boston, just friends that they haven't met yet, which I think is quite correct. So, the reason I chose my family, it is because it's all around me, and I hope you can find the joy of having your own unique family.
love my fish so much because they are too cool to look at. I like feeding them. 10. We have 10 fish.
Do you like taking care of them?
I like taking care of them.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about your bike. Tell me you like your bike. Yeah. This is my bike is fun to ride.
My bike is fun to ride.
It's really cool. I got it a couple months ago.
It's really cool. I got it a couple of months ago.
It's green and black and it has a bell.
It's green and black and it has a bell that sounds like a car engine. Soccer and baseball. And I ride it everywhere. It's good to exercise and it's good for the earth. Thank you.
เขาจะได้อะไร ถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวันเขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลย ไม่ได้รวยขึ้น ไม่ได้ออกทีวี ไม่มีใครรู้จัก ไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้น เพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้ คือได้แค่ความรู้สึก ได้เห็นความสุข ได้เข้าใจ ได้ความรัก ได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิม ในชีวิตคุณ อะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
This is the third time I'm watching it. It still gets to me. I get a little emotional after watching it because for me it highlights what real treasures are all about. So here's this random Thai guy that will never ever know what his name is, and like the narrator said, will never ever be famous or appear on TV, except on the screens of our church. But yet, he embodies what it means to be rich and to have found such treasures in his life. And indeed, it made me think about all the possessions that we have accrued over the years and what those possessions could possibly mean. And it goes back to the reading for meditation that I just did that said that treasure your relationships more than your possessions. Growing up, when I was you guys' age, I really didn't have much possession to speak of. I didn't really have a lot of things, believe it or not. In fact, even candies, my grandmother would ration it. So you know those pack of M&Ms, the small little packs? Some of you, that may last you half an hour. You could finish that off fairly quickly. Yeah, I see a lot of nods from Emily and others. But for me, my grandmother would make sure that that pack of M&Ms would last 2 weeks at the very least. So I would get 1 M a day. In fact, I would feel a little jip. It's like, it's false advertising. It's not M&Ms, it's just an M. So it would be like taking a tablet of vitamin or, a day. And that would be it. And yet I treasured it. I treasured that sweetness and the flavor of it. And I valued the fact that my grandmother loved me enough to buy me a pack of M&Ms every other week. That's what I treasured. And toys, oh my goodness. If you saw the kind of toys my nephew has these days, he gets a set of Legos. And I'm not talking about those small little pack of Legos. They're these huge sets of Legos once every 2 months, practically. And me, growing up, I'd be lucky to get one once every 2 years. And I'd have to save up my allowances and do all kinds of things to beg my parents to buy me a medium-sized box of Legos once every 2 years. What a difference it makes. And you know what my favorite toy was growing up? They probably don't even make these anymore. How many of you have heard of a toy called Match 2? Here's what it looks like. Notice the box cover. That gives you an idea of how old this toy is. But the idea of it is that the flags are arranged like tiles. So it's like mahjong. You kind of throw it around the table, you flip it over, and you do 2 at a time. And you try to match the flags not necessarily side by side like it has pictured here, but wherever it is on the board, you try to match up the flags. Well, what I remember the most about this game is not the game itself, but who I played the game with. So there's this woman who pointed to that flag that's the second set from your right-hand side most, the Union Jack. What flag is that, you guys? No, the second one from the top. The second set from the top. Is it next to the Swedish flag? It's on top of the Canadian flag and to the right of the Australian flag and below is that Portugal? Below the Portuguese flag. Did someone say Great Britain? Yes, that's right. And she would say that flag represents the country in which I came from, jolly old Britain, it is. Sorry, I'm not doing a very good British impersonation, but it was right. So it's an entryway into a conversation and a dialogue about where she grew up and the country that she came from and all the yummy food that they ate. And all that great information that you would get from someone who's actually lived in a different country. So for me, growing up in the Philippines, it was such a treasure to hear those stories. And one of the things I miss most, speaking of stories from my kupuna, is being able to sit on my grandmother's lap and hearing the courageous, far-fetched tales of life growing up in China. So I don't know how many of you guys are fortunate enough to have your grandparents living still, that they would be able to tell you their stories, but that's something I miss most these days, is to just be able to sit and listen and hear and absorb this wonderful relationship that we had with one another. And you want to know what else I found to be a treasure, which might help explain why I'm a minister today. Singing at church, going to Sunday school, and going to RE classes, and singing songs like, well, some of them are just too campy and too cheesy to repeat. Anyway, so as we could tell, the real treasure can already be found in our midst. We don't need to go out to hunt for it. It's already right here, and all of us have it. Whether or not we have dollars or bahts or whatever else, we already have it. And all we need to do to gain more is to give it away. Sounds kind of ironic, doesn't it? That the more you give away, the more you're going to get in return. Can I get an amen to that? Amen. All right, so may we go forth and practice likewise.
Aloha. My name is Zafran Castagnero, and I am a member of this church and the RE program. I have many treasures, but I choose to share one of them with you. My treasure is a stuffed toy tiger named Pincher. When I was a baby, like most babies, I would breastfeed. Unfortunately, I would pinch my mom, and I bet it hurt. My parents bought a small, cuddly toy tiger and named it Pincher. Luckily, I started pinching Pincher instead of my mom. Pincher has remained my favorite stuffed animal for all of my life. I have loved him for nearly 9 years now. Mahalo, and thank you for letting me share my story about Pincher, my special treasure.
Good morning. I just wanted to thank everybody in the congregation for their generosity in supporting our 2014 food drive for the Hawaii Food Bank. We've collected approximately 300 pounds of food and a little over $2,000 in donations. So I want to thank everybody.
So I wanted to take an opportunity to reach out. This will be the symbolic can. And just reach out your hand if you feel comfortable doing this. And try to reach these cans and say these words with me. We bless these cans. We bless these cans. Tokens of our gift to our community. Tokens of our gift to our community. We also bless the givers. We also bless the givers. And the recipients of these cans. We hope that we will work towards a day when there will be no more hunger in our world. When there will be no more